This week, Navy Recognition has selected the following topics that drew major attention from its followers. On Tuesday, the President of French Republic announced an order of 6 patrollers overseas. Then Indian Navy is about to acquire 6 more P-8I maritime aircraft. And finally, the new Polish Navy vessel, ORP Slazak, is now ready for duty. At the Assises of Maritime Economy in Montpellier, the President of the French Republic, Emmanuel Macron, announced the order of 6 new patrol boats for overseas. In accordance with the orientation that it had taken in Military Programming Act, this order reinforced the protection of our maritime areas and anticipates the restoration of this component by 2 years. These announcements followed the Ministerial Investment Committee of November 2019, where Florence Parly decided to launch the Overseas Patroller Program. In a context of increasing threats to fish resources, biodiversity, and international rules of the law of the sea, France intends to fully exercise its sovereignty and responsibilities in France and overseas. That is why the recovery of the naval resources of surveillance of our overseas maritime spaces had begun by the delivery of the 3 patrollers Antilles-Guyane between 2017 and 2019. It continues today with the orders that will make it possible to replace the old generation of patrollers in New Caledonia, French Polynesia and Réunion between 2022 and 2025. Last Thursday, the Indian Defense Ministry approved the procurement of 6 additional Boeing P-8I maritime patrol aircraft, indigenous development of airborne warning and control system, aircraft and other military platform at a cost of 3.1 billion. With this latest order, the total number of P-8Is in the Indian Navy reaches 18, which is a clear indication that the Indian government is pleased with Boeing Long Ranger. Since induction in 2015, the P-8I maritime patrol fleet has surpassed 25,000 flight hours for the Indian Navy. Yesterday, India was celebrating Navy Day 2019, for which the Indian Navy is improving their skills. While the Indian Navy personnel was demonstrated exceptional skills during Naval Day celebrations, the existing fleet of Indian Navy aircraft was expanded to include more P-8Is. The P-8 is a long-range anti-submarine warfare, anti-surface warfare, intelligence, surveillance and reconnaissance aircraft, capable of broad area, maritime and littoral operations. In addition, the P-8 performs humanitarian and search and rescue missions around the globe. On November 28, the Polish Navy held the ship's incarnation ceremony for its new patrol ship, the ORP Slazak, at the Gdynia military port. The ceremony was attended by the parliamentarians, regional authorities, military authorities, and representatives of the shipbuilding industry. ORP Slazak is a Polish patrol corvette-class ship designed according to MEKO A100 concept for the German shipyard Blohm & Voss. The unit is part of the battleship squadron of the 3rd Ship Flotilla. The ceremony of launching the first launch and giving the name ORP Slazak took place on July 2, 2015 at Naval Shipyard. The ship's purpose is to combat surface and aerial targets and asymmetrical threats, as well as patrol and protect approach routes and sea communication lines, escorts, and protects commercial units. The unit is also adapted to control sea routes as part of multinational forces, combat piracy, maritime terrorism, cooperate with special forces to secure their operations, and participate in humanitarian and ecological actions.
And now for the air sector, Kinzhal missile tested in Arctic, Australia chooses MQ-9B Sky Guardian, and flight test of Turkish T-70 helicopters planned for 2020. The Kinzhal is a Russian nuclear-capable air-launched ballistic missile. It has a claimed range of more than 2,000 kilometers, Mach 10 speed, and an ability to perform evasive maneuvers at every stage of its flight. It can carry both conventional and nuclear warheads and can be launched from 2 22 M3 bombers or MiG-31K interceptors. The Australian government program to deliver a cutting-edge armed remotely piloted aircraft system is a step closer with the down selection of the General Atomics MQ-9B Sky Guardian. The next phase will focus on developing the MQ-9B acquisition proposal, which is scheduled for government consideration in 2021-22. The MQ-9B Sky Guardian is the latest variant of the MQ-9 series RPAS currently operated by the United States, United Kingdom, Italy, France, and soon Spain, the Netherlands, and Belgium. T-70 helicopter is developed based on the S-70I helicopter of Sikorsky Aircraft. A total of 109 T-70 helicopters will be manufactured and delivered to the Turkish Land Forces, Turkish Air Forces, General Command of Gendarmerie, Special Forces, Turkish National Police, and Directorate of Forestry during next 10 years. Turkish Aerospace Industries will be leading the program as a prime contractor of this program, with other subcontractor companies: Sikorsky Aircraft, Aselsan, TEI, and Alp Aviation.
Our recognition's selection of topics for this weekly review is geographically very diversified. First, Russia designs a robotic version of its Pantsir-S air defense system. Second, John Cockerill Defense proposes its Cockerill protected weapons station to upgrade the Commando armored vehicles of the Colombian army. And third, the German defense budget 2020 is on the rise to reach slightly more than 45 billion euros. The Russian armed forces will receive a robotic system designed on the basis of the Pantsir-S anti-aircraft missile gun system. It will be able to automatically detect, identify and destroy targets without an operator's interference and thus prevent risks to officers and men. The weapon will be able to operate in super low temperatures and in a contaminated environment. Sources in the Russian Defense Ministry said the precision to design the robot has been made and technical requirement approved. The new robotic system will have only a driver on board. There will be no other crew member, as the computer will control the whole operational defense. The onboard equipment will be connected with automatic command systems by a closed data transmission segment. The robotic air defense system will receive airspace information from its own radar and more powerful outside radars on the ground, helicopters, warships, drones, and early warning aircraft. The computer of the launcher will analyze the information, compare data, and create a single picture of the combat. It will identify the most dangerous flying craft, select the weapon, missile or gun, and fire to destroy the target. Expert Vadim Kozulin said in Syria, we saw combined airstrikes by drones and missiles which simultaneously approach targets from various directions. The weapons and tactics are becoming more dangerous. Drone attacks in swarms. A rapid reaction to the changing situation and traumatic processes are necessary to repel the attacks. A robotic Pantsir will correspond to modern threats. The integration of outside radars will detect the attacking vehicles in advance. It will help repel the air raid, the expert said. The Belgian company John Cockerill Defense proposes its CPWS, or Cockerill Protected Weapons Station, Generation 2 turret to modernize Textron Commando 4x4 armored vehicles of the Colombian army. Back in 2009, Colombia bought its first 39 American Commando vehicles, which is officially known as the ICV for infantry carrier variant of the M1117. The Colombian army signed a $31.6 million agreement with US-based Textron Marine and Land Systems for 28 Commando Advanced APCs, high mobility 4x4s, in July 2013. In 2014, the Colombian army began receiving the 28 Commandos. The Commando is a 4x4 armored vehicle, a larger version of the older American 1117 ASVs, or armored security vehicles. All of the APCs are equipped with the TMLS standard protected man turret, and with a .50 heavy machine gun and a 40mm Mark 19 automatic grenade launcher. To increase their firepower, the Colombian army has launched a program to modernize its fleet of Commando fitted with a turret that can be armed with a 25mm automatic cannon. So, at Expo Defensa 2019, John Cockerill showcases its CPWS as a solution to upgrade the fleet of Commando vehicles of the Colombian army. The John Cockerill CPWS is a remotely operated weapon station that can be armed with a wide range of 25 and 30mm guns. On November 29, the German Parliament, the Bundestag, passed its budget for 2020. At the heart of the budget presented by Finance Minister Olaf Scholz is a massive increase in military spending. 5 years ago, at the Munich Security Conference 2014, the Grand Coalition announced Germany's return to an aggressive foreign and great power policy. The far-reaching consequences of such a policy are increasingly reflected in the current budget. The German military budget alone will total 45.05 billion euros next year, an increase of more than 12 billion euros since 2014. In reality, the increase is even bigger. According to a report by the German press agency, the German government has notified NATO of its intention to spend 50.25 billion euros in 2020. We are complying with our international obligations. The NATO defense ratio is 1.42%, Scholz stressed in his speech in the Bundestag. Further massive increases are planned for the coming years. In her speech summing up the work of the government, Chancellor Angela Merkel said, "We will continue this step by step, 1.5% by 2024. The Defense Minister has drawn up a plan enabling us to improve our capability in the alliance by increasing our capacities to reach 2% of the GDP by the early 2030s. You can count on that." In absolute terms, the target of 2% of the GDP agreed by the Grand Coalition at the 2014 NATO summit in Wales would mean increasing the military budget to more than 90 billion euros per annum.